Hi there, Kira here with a scrapbook layout process video for the Wild Hare kits, and this month I'm using the monthly sketch. So if you guys are unaware, every month we have a sketch up on the Wild Hare blog, and it's posted on the first of the month every month, and this one is designed by one of the design team members, Jess. So I'm really excited to use this sketch. I think it's really cute and simple, but that's also kind of a bit of a challenge for me because I'm not really a simple scrapper. So I did the best that I could. I think I like the way it came out. So the sketch, it's more like a 9 by 12 type sketch. It's not like a 12 by 12 sketch. It's not a square, I guess I should say. It's a rectangular sketch. So I decided, because I really wanted to use this pattern paper, this is the perennial paper from the Maggie Holmes Flourish collection, and I think it's so pretty. I love all these little flowers on it. I think it's just such a gorgeous paper. So I had debated whether or not I wanted to use it as a full background, or if I wanted to fussy cut out all those little flowers. And I decided to use it as a full background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white cardstock and I cut that down to 6 by 9, and I'm basically going to use this sketch to decorate. I don't know if that's the right word. Use the sketch on the white cardstock and then just layer it up on the 12 by 12 cardstock pattern paper. So that's what the plan is right now. So I have a couple of the pattern paper from the 6 by 8 paper pad. And so when I pulled out the paper pad, I was like, oh, maybe I should have done a white background and then used one of these papers to do my layers. But I quickly just shushed my mouth and just went with my original plan. So I pulled out a couple papers that I thought might work well for my layers here. And I don't end up using the brown one. I thought it would be a nice neutral, but I just end up going with this carnation-y one because it's got the greens and the pinks and the yellows in it. And I thought that it would look nice with my photo. So in the sketch, we've got like a cluster, like an embellishment cluster up in the top left corner, and then a title beside that, and then on the bottom right there's a cluster with maybe some pattern paper strips or something like that. So my idea was, instead of using like pattern paper or something down at the bottom, is I would use my baker's twine that was included in my kit along with the gold leaf trim from the Flourish collection, which was also in my kit. And then I'm going to be doing 2 clusters, one at the top, one at the bottom. So I stuck really closely to the sketch, except for the fact that I'm using a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper behind it. So I pulled out some flowers I thought might work, and I was immediately drawn to the yellow ones. So I really like this daffodil. I thought that was really pretty. And then I also like that small little cluster of flowers up above the daffodil. So I'll use that one towards the bottom. But I felt like the one up top needed more behind it, like it wasn't enough. So I end up layering another flower behind that one, and I use that pink flower right there. I'll put behind there. And then because I am bringing in the gold leaf trim down at the bottom, which I don't know why I'm out of frame right now. I thought that I was in frame this whole time. Sorry about that. Anyways, I will put the gold leaf trim down at the bottom, so then I bring in some of those gold leaves and I'll put those up top. I also brought in these tassels because I wanted to bring in some blue, because in the photo of my son and my dog, my son is wearing a blue shirt, so I wanted to bring in some of that blue into the layout as well. So I bring in a blue tassel up top and a blue tassel at the bottom, and I also bring in another pink tassel at the bottom too. And there's those gold leaves that I was talking about. So I think I like how everything's looking so far. So I'm going to take this white cardstock and I'm going to wrap it with some baker's twine. and just wrap it around. I think I do 3 times. I wrap it around, and then I'll wrap the gold leaf trim around once, just around the bottom of the page, similar to how it looks in the sketch. So once I've got the trim adhered down, I just adhered it down with some washi tape. I'll go ahead and adhere that to my page. And you notice that I do not center it in the middle of my paper. I do kind of offset it to the right-hand side. And then I'm going to stitch around the edge of the paper. So I use some navy blue thread, again trying to bring in some more of that blue. And I'll just stitch one time with my machine, my sewing machine, and stitch around that white cardstock. Then I kind of, after I sew, I will kind of pull up the edges a little bit just to give it a little bit more texture. And I went ahead and kept the threads of the stitching. I kept those kind of hanging off just to add another texture to the layout, and to also, again, just keep some more of that blue in the layout too. I adhered down this layer and then also roughed up the edges of this. And then I decided to add a little bit more stitching, but you can't notice it too much in the final layout. It's just a tiny little hint of stitching where I just kind of did back and forth along that layer. And but the flowers get layered on top of it, so you don't notice it a whole bunch, but I think it's a nice little addition there. I went ahead and added some foam to the back of my photo just to bump that up, give it more dimension. And then I'm going to be building my top cluster here. So again, I'm just going to layer the pink flower below the yellow. I just wanted a little pop of the pink. And then I'll be adding these gold leaves under the pink flower. I had originally wanted to put the gold leaf underneath the white cardstock, like have one of them under the white cardstock and then one of them under the pink flower. But apparently I forgot about that when I went to stitch, because it didn't happen, because I would have had to stitch over top that gold leaf. So I just did not plan appropriately, which is fine. I mean, it turns out fine. I'm not upset with my decision to do that, but that was just the original plan and it didn't happen. And I don't really mind that I'm covering up the majority of that pink flower. I just wanted a tiny pop of another color up there, and I really liked the pink. And that way, with that tiny pop of the pink down at the bottom with the tassel that I add, it's a good balance, I think. So now I'm going to be working on that bottom cluster, and I'm going to put some foam behind the flower that I chose. I use a little yellow clustered flower, and I'll put some foam behind that, and I glued it down, but then I'll lift it back up because I want to add the tassels. The way that I adhered the tassels to the page is I just strung them through, or strung like some thread, like sewing machine thread. I just strung it through the tassels and made like a little, like tied it, I guess, and then I just glued it onto, like, underneath the flowers, so the flowers are kind of holding it in place. And then I think off camera, I added some things that I did not show on camera, but I did add some journaling to this page. So I had a few little strips of typed journaling right under my photo, which is just like the sketch. And then I add my stamped date right below my journaling. And then I also grabbed the sequins that were included in my kit, and I pulled out a few of the clear ones and just added 3 little clear ones to the bottom cluster and 3 clear sequins to the top cluster. And then once I did that, I called my page done. So if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. You can check out the Wild Hare Kits blog to get a view of this sketch if you would like to use it too. And then just make sure to tag the Wild Hare Kits on social media so we can see your incredible layouts with this sketch as well. So I will talk to you guys later, and have a great day. Bye.